Xavier, and the bracket here in the East. Marquette Xavier, the winner of this game, takes on the winner of our next game between Syracuse and the Sycamores of Indiana State. Hi, everybody. I'm Gus Johnson, along with my partner Len Elmore, and welcome to Cleveland, where today we get a chance to see Xavier, champions of the Atlantic 10 during the regular season, and Marquette, one of 11 Big East teams to make it to the NCAAs.
Well, certainly Marquette had to scuffle to get here. They had to really finish strong. And the reason they got here, in part, the leadership of Jimmy Butler, their senior, 7th in the Big East in scoring. This is a guy that gets to the free throw line often, and it really helps the Marquette attack. And Holloway for Xavier, maybe the best guard you never heard of, A-10 player of the year, also on the all-defensive team. Scoring is his game.
So coming up, these two teams with a long history. It will be their 61st meeting. Two Jesuit schools after this.
Anything you can and everything you can to make sure we advance. It starts with how hard you play, no regrets at the end of the night. No regrets. Come on, boys, let's go. Let's go. None. No, boys. Be the harder playing team, leave not a doubt in the people's minds who the harder playing team
Xavier, man.
On three together. 1, 2, 3.
Together.
All right, Chris Mack, second year. What a job he's done at Xavier. As we take a look at the starting lineups, we start with the Musketeers. 24, actually we will start with Marquette. As we take a look, DJO is what they call him, Darius Johnson Odom. And he's their second leading scorer at 16 per game. He and Jimmy Butler ready to go to work. Now for the 24-7 Musketeers, Xavier, you know about Holloway, but he's not the only player on this team. Lenny, they have another guard that plays almost at the same level.
Yeah, Mark Lyons is a guy who helps get the ball where it needs to be and let Holloway do his thing.
And Buzz Williams, the head coach at Marquette, another 20-win season in his third year. He replaced Tom Crean, who's working in our studios as we speak. 61st meeting between these two squads. Marquette leads the series 45-15. Their last meeting, beating Xavier 71-61 in the Old Spice Classic. As you take a look at the men in black, Roberts, Randall, Gaffney. This game is brought to you in HDTV by LG. Life's good. Gus Johnson, Len Elmore. Two of the 28 Jesuit schools in the country going at it. Marquette and Xavier. Marquette out of the Big East Conference. And you really like what Xavier has been able to do out of the Atlantic 10. At one time, they were one of the hottest teams in the nation.
I'll tell you what, under Chris Mack, 29-3 in A-10 competition and 50-16 overall. So, you know, this is a bunch of winners right now under Chris Mack, who played at Xavier.
Mack, the A-10 coach of the year, 50-16 overall, 2-1 in the NCAA tournament. McLean and O'Toole jump it up, and the tip controlled by the Golden Eagles. What should we pay attention to early on?
Well, first of all, Marquette is a kind of team similar to Xavier in that they like to get it outside to their guards and try to find ways to cut, slash, get to the basket. But if they're playing Xavier, they better guard the screen and roll, because Xavier really gets an awful lot out of that, and gets their big men involved as well.
Inside Williams, mid-range, 11-footer goes down. And Marquette on the board. 20-14, 9-9 in Big East play. Returns to the NCAA tournament for the 6th straight year. 29th overall. Remember, they cut down the nets in 1977 with legendary coach Al McGuire. Xavier off the mark, and we'll head the other way. Chris Mack and his team, 6th straight NCAA tournament appearance. And now they reverse the call. Musketeers will get it again.
Well, one of Buzz Williams' biggest concerns is to keep this team off the free throw line. they score a significant amount of their points that are free, but good defense right there.
DJO to the basket. He finds Bikes, and they pull it out. Darius Johnson Odom, a junior from Raleigh, North Carolina. Step back lefty, and he's fouled. Looks like that will go on Mark Lyons, a sophomore from Schenectady, his first. So let's take a look at the school profile for Xavier, located in Cincinnati, home of the legendary three-way chili land. I don't know if you've had that. 7,000.
Skyline, Gold Star, what's up, man?
Yeah, you know. So at the free throw line, Darius Johnson Odom. All Big East second team with a body on him. 6'2", 215. Look at those shoulders.
One of the more athletic and creative guards in that Big East conference. Little jitters right there.
On the year, he's a 71% free throw shooter. Now in the front court, Mark Lyons.
And you see Kenny Freeze, a 7-footer out at the top. They use him to do just that, to pass it as well as set screens.
That contested. McLean can't dunk it. Bikes the other way. Williams from the top of the key. And the rebound goes to Xavier. Jamel McLean, senior from Hampton, Virginia. A Holloway, number 52 for a guard. What a number. McLean posted. Nice look. Freeze and a big fella. Banks it in.
That was a terrific pass by McLean. Waited till the defender committed to the double and just waited for Kenny Freeze to be in position.
O'Toole inside, goes back outside. Butler quiet offensively so far. Bikes a fade. Count it. So Dwight Bikes. That name just rolls off the top of your tongue. Makes his first, and Marquette takes a 4-2 lead. Holloway stopping, baseline, Freeze. Good.
And you talk about an improved guy. Kenny Freeze, at the end of last season, was told he had to get in better condition so he could stay in the game and play more minutes. And certainly he did that, and he's much improved.
O'Toole short, Freeze with the rebound. You're right, Len. He averages 12 points and playing 28 minutes a night.
He got 7 rebounds, shooting over 50% from the field. He is a welcome addition.
And Holloway traveling with the basketball.
Well, here's McLean. Watch him call for the ball. As soon as the defender commits right there, Freeze gets to the spot. And McLean delivers it nicely, just waits for the D. Now, of course, on Marquette side, weak side defense should have stepped in front of Freeze, but still an excellent play by Jamel McLean. If Marquette's going to persist in double teaming on the post, you got a pretty good passer, actually 2 passers in Freeze and McLean, who don't mind sharing the ball.
Long jump shot, and that one off the mark for Darius Johnson Odom. Skip pass, Lyons driving, leaning, and an offensive foul.
I'll tell you what, you take a look at Lyons. He looked like he did a nice job of avoiding it. Here's the drive. He might have hit him flush. Defender was certainly standing there, but whether or not he kind of leaned over, it's difficult to see from that, but it puts Mark Lyons on the bench, and, you know, he's an integral part of this Xavier offense. He's got 2 fouls now.
At the 16:35 mark. And a whistle and foul up top. And Kansas, Boston University starting the second half on TBS. 33-29, KU. And so far, one of the tighter 16-1 matchups that we've seen thus far. Because a 16 has never beaten a 1 in the history of this tournament. O'Toole. DJO. Butler steps out, wheels, fades, and hits. Nice.
Jimmy Butler so much improved offensively over the years. When he came into Marquette as a sophomore, never O'Reilly took a three-point shot. The following year, after working on it, he wound up shooting almost 50%. So he's become a pretty doggone good offensive player.
Dante Jackson working hard, tips it to himself, gets his own rebound. And a new shot clock for X.
Again, the big set a lot of high screens and then roll to the basket.
And McLean almost had it taken away, but Xavier will hold on. Possession arrow in their favor. 15:38 to play in the first half. Marquette up by 2.
Goes.
And everybody's talking about Ernie St. John's basketball and the resurgence of New York basketball, but how about Jim Ferry's Blackbirds?
Yeah, and remember, it's Long Island University, but they're located in Brooklyn, New York. So people need to know that. That's right in the heart of the Big Apple. And, you know, a North Carolina team that just started slowly all 3 games of the ACC tournament. And once again, it seems like they're in the doldrums.
Now let's join Marty Snyder.
Well, Gus, Chris Mack took an interesting approach to practice early this week. On Monday, he made his team watch both overtimes of that famous Kansas State loss in the tournament last year. He said, number 1, he wanted to remind them of the feeling they had after that game. Number 2, to remind them that they need to play defense to win in this tournament. Holloway told me, I didn't need to see that game. I'm still upset about it.
Well, Marty,
how about number 3? I was going to say number 3 to hear Gus Johnson making those calls. A tremendous shot.
Meanwhile, Butler was awesome. Crawford was awesome.
Crawford.
Maybe the best NCAA game I've ever seen.
Yeah, it was one of the best that I can recall. Double overtime.
Xavier has been a part of some incredible NCAA games. Long jump shot. And that one rims off for Dante Jackson. Remember, a few years back, 06, Ohio State Xavier in Lexington.
You did that one too, didn't you?
Yeah. Inside, Otule, outside. Butler, he's feeling it, his last 2 shots, and he throws it out of bounds.
Jimmy Butler took a bump on that.
Take a look back. Xavier, Kansas State. What a game. Jordan Crawford, now the NBA with the Washington Wizards. But in the end, it was Jacob Pullen and the Wildcats winning it 101-96. They would eventually lose in the next round. Butler, who went on to the national final game, defeated by the champions, Duke. Holloway. Ooh, what a rebound by McLean. Man, did he get up high. Lynn.
Well, Jamel McLean, first in offensive rebounding in Atlantic 10. You can see why. Gets good position and elevates.
Cadogan in transition, and an offensive foul will be called on Darius Johnson-Odom. Get all the March Madness highlights, box scores, and the TV schedule for TBS, CBS, TNT, and True TV at NCAA.com. And a sub in the game now, Jeff Robinson, a sophomore from Indy. He'll inbound the ball. Averages 2 points per game.
Xavier right now still not getting the shots that they want. Marquette doing a nice job. As we said, they have to guard the high screen and roll. They're stepping out, hedging, forcing the ball out of the guard's hand.
Nice jump shot goes down for Andrew Taylor, who just checked in and hits his first shot.
And that's what Xavier's going to have to do, find some other guys that are going to keep the defenses honest.
Down low and nicely done. Marquette passing the basketball, and that's Crowder. McLean, spinning, leaning, banking, fighting. And the foul coming up. Looks like that'll go against Marquette.
Good job of interior passing right here. You see Fultz with it, and he draws the defenders right there. And just a little lob over the defense. You see the help coming late. Good decision so far we've seen from big folks from both teams. How to handle double teams.
McLean checks out for Xavier. Freeze back in. Otule back in the game as well for Marquette. Holloway.
Another high screen. That's pretty much what they do on the perimeter. Bigs get in there, screen, and roll.
And a traveling violation called against Andrew Taylor.
Well, we talked about Jimmy Butler being the leader of this team, and he is a consummate mid-range player. You see, he's got all the moves, puts it on the floor nicely, squares up. And he's the kind of guy, again, that you can do a lot of things with because of that ability to knock down the mid-range and his ability to handle.
Otule inside. 5 turnovers for Xavier to start this game. The kick, Crowder, a 3. And the rebound going to Dante Jackson, his second. To Holloway, quiet so far for Xavier. No points. Remember, he can burn it up. The average is 20 and 5. One of 2 players to average 20 points and 5 assists a game in the country.
And Gus, to that point, though, one of the reasons he's probably slowed is because Lyons is on the bench, his point guard. He's had to assume point guard responsibilities, which means distribute the ball, make sure they execute. I mean, he certainly can go one-on-one, no question about it, but that's not the kind of player he is.
From Hempstead, New York, as Lyons sits. A couple of New York backcourt players for this Xavier team, Schenectady and Hempstead. Freeze calling for the ball, and they pass him up. Now we'll go to the other box and yell for it. He gets it. And a whistle. 10-6 back after this. Welcome back as you take a look at Chris Mack and his accomplishments. Young coach at his alma mater, and this is the Infinity Coaches Spotlight.
Yeah, I mean, Chris Mack, you can't argue with his record, 50 and 16 overall, and in the A-10, 29 and 3. That is outstanding. And to play for your alma mater after transferring from Evansville, and he played for Pete Gillen, who in my mind, one of the finer coaches in the game, and probably if he doesn't like TV, should be coaching again. That gets the competition out the way, you know what I'm saying?
Coach Gillen, so enthusiastic.
Oh, yeah, he's terrific. Great for the sport.
Xavier, Providence, Virginia. Stops for the Brooklyn, New York native, another Brooklyn guy. Like you, Lenny.
Get tired of this, huh?
I know. Now Holloway.
Again, Marquette, an excellent job off the screens. They hedge Darren Holloway to drive to the basket. Instead, they force him east-west. And that's taking him out of the game.
10 to shoot, and all knocked out of bounds. Nice denial defense. And let's take a look what Chris played at Xavier. Back then, he had a little bit more hair than he has now. The guard.
Here's what Holloway needs to take over.
Long jump shot off the back rim, and the rebound goes to Marquette.
May have to work a little harder to get a better shot, though. When shot clock's under 10, that's his job.
And a 3-second violation called against the Golden Eagles. So a herky-jerky start for these teams, 10-6.
Well, you know, it's hard. The other teams played earlier in the day, and you got to sit around in the hotel room, you know, with the anxiety building, chomping at the bit, wanting to get out here. And sometimes it makes you a little sour for a while. Throws your game off, your timing off. Not to mention pretty good defense by both teams.
Inside, running jump shot, Jeff Robinson, no. Bikes on the move. Bikes will fire and hit.
Nice inside-out game with Jay Crowder. Once again, catching Xavier in the middle of their rotation. It's been excellent ball movement thus far by Marquette. And they've been able to knock down some shots.
White Bikes with 5. He averages 9. McLean blocked from behind. Guess who? Crowder. In transition, Bikes. Crowder. I love the way the games have been officiated here in Cleveland. The refs have let them play. Not very many ticky-tack fouls. Guys have been able to stay in the game. Holloway shake and fake to the bucket. No. McLean with the rebound. Double pump fake. Up and no. Gets his own rebound and a foul. And True TV presents an all-new series, Big Brain and the Fortune Seller. Every Tuesday at 10 p.m. Eastern, you won't believe what happens when he turns a house full of memories into the sale of the century.
Jamel McLean, we talked about him before. He's the guy that does the dirty work. Down under for Xavier, third in the conference in rebounding, leading offensive rebounder in the Atlantic 10, almost 4 per game.
And he's a 62% free throw shooter. Great size, 6'8". He can jump out of the gym.
And as we've seen, pretty good passer.
He gets the second. Musketeers off to a slow start, 13-7. Under 10 to go in the first half.
And again, in part, it's because their point guard, Mark Lyons, was on the bench with fouls. Back in the game now. Let's see if the offense can pick up a little bit.
Junior Cadogan, sophomore from Toronto, makes it a 15-7 game. Holloway step back. He can't get one to fall. And here come the Golden Eagles. Butler turns baseline, forced it up, and draws a foul. Jackson. Dante Jackson called for the foul.
Well, Xavier better recognize they've got to tighten up. You take a look at this drive, splits the double team and splits another attempt at a double team as Cadogan, you see it right there coming right at you. Too many guys playing Olay defense instead of getting their bodies in position. And by Olay, you know what I mean.
That's right. Matador defense.
That's right.
Butler makes it first, sub coming in, Andrew Taylor. Xavier looks a little flat to start this game, Len. You know, they lost in the Atlantic 10 tournament to Dayton. Prior to that, they were just steamrolling through teams.
15-1 in the conference, which is a pretty tough conference, the A-10. Underrated in many ways. You know, you got Temple, you got Xavier coming out of there. Richmond as well. I mean, you got teams that are in the tournament. And then all of a sudden, you know, somebody gets in their way, a roadblock. But they've got to forget that game.
Largest lead of the game now for Marquette. Off a steal, bites, and he travels. Let's take a look at some other Atlantic teams competing in the tournament this season.
Well, obviously Temple and Richmond both advanced. Richmond with the upset of Vanderbilt, which a lot of people called for. And Temple eked it out against in-state rival Penn State, even though Penn State's in the Big Ten. But that meeting with San Diego State for Temple and the meeting with Morehead State, no more surprises now. Cat's out of the bag. Both of those teams can play, and their opponents will be ready for them.
Morehead State beating Louisville. Kenneth Fareed, one of the best rebounders in the country. No foul called there. Nice job as Andrew Taylor just backed his man down. He has 4.
And I'm surprised no foul was called because it was an exaggerated shoulder, but maybe not enough. And they figured Jay Crowder's too big to fall on his back that easily.
Johnson Odom lobs. Freeze knocks it away. Great play by the 7-footer.
Yeah, but Otule's got to do a better job of getting his body between his man in a post situation.
Back in the game, Mark Lyons. That allows Holloway to move over. Lyons, the runner. Oh! No! Offensive foul.
I think they're going to count the basket, though.
But more importantly, that's his third.
The ball left his hand before he made contact. That's what the officials call. Basket good and the offensive foul. But Lyons is in trouble. I'm a name in America?
No, Smith. Meanwhile, let's check in with our Marty Snyder.
Real quick, Gus, Xavier obviously averages 72 points a game, not the pace they wanted. Chris Mack said, we're taking too long in our offensive set to get the ball going. I wanted to touch Freeze's hands as well, work inside out.
Butler fouled. Xavier 5 of 18, 28% shooting. Only 11 points in the first half for a team that averages 73.
And I told you before the telecast began that Jimmy Butler finds a way to get to the free throw line. I mean, since the 2010 season, he's gotten to the free throw line 472 times, which is a great deal more than the next guy. And you can see why. A lot of interesting fakes and moves, get people out of position, off their feet, and he knows how to capitalize.
Butler, a 1,000-point scorer at Marquette, 7th in the Big East in scoring from Tomball, Texas. 18-11. Taylor called for the foul, his first. Butler has 7. Inside Freeze. Holloway still scoreless, spinning, rejected. Otule got a hand on that basketball. He has 52 blocks on the season, make that 53.
And one of the reasons Chris Mack wants Kenny Freeze to get his hands on the ball, because he's down low. And once he goes down low, you see Marquette collapse. And that should open it up for jump shooters. Freeze pretty adept at getting the ball back outside. And he's posting up pretty strong.
Jackson looking for Freeze. 1 to shoot, fires, and hits. Great rhythm shot by Dante Jackson. 18-13. Butler. Junior Cadogan. Bikes, and he traveled. Put his hand under it, no palming. In college basketball, 6 turnovers for Marquette, and quickly off the bench, Darius Johnson-Odom.
And even though it's early, this is one of those time and score situations. Xavier wants to close the gap. They've got some momentum going. This is one of those times where you don't take one of those quick errant shots. You run your offense, force Marquette to make the adjustment, either foul or leave somebody open for a high percentage.
Interesting, though, what Marquette has done on Holloway. 20 points a game. And he can't buy a basket. Especially with Mark Lyons on the bench. 3 fouls, Marquette numbers, they leave it. Oh, nicely done. Butler, as DJO rewarded him. And the Golden Eagles take a 20-13 lead.
Well, good transition by Marquette. As soon as they took that ball, they were off to the races, beating everybody back except Holloway. But Holloway made a bad decision on that pass. In his zeal to try to get it to Kenny Freeze, he threw it right into the D.
Every tournament game is live online or your iPhone or iPad with NCAA March Madness on demand. For details, go to mmod.ncaa.com. Sub coming into the game. This is Devontae Gardner for Marquette. Inside, Freeze keeps it up high. Off the mark, contested nicely. Butler with the rebound. Cadogan hard pushing to the front court to the bucket. Almost lost it. And does.
You got big Devontae Gardner in the game for Marquette, and he is a wide body that can get himself close to the basket and do some things with the ball. But really, he's there to kind of lean on Kenny Freeze, kind of get him, soften him up a little bit.
Gardner, 6'8", 290, freshman. Holloway to Freeze. And banks it in. Great use of the glass by the 7-footer. He has 6.
Yeah, Mr. Freeze getting hot.
2015 and another whistle. Turnover going against Marquette. And this will go against Cadogan. Looks like he used his off arm to push off. To Holloway, 0 for 4. Turns, nice look. Oh, Freeze foul from behind. And that will go against Jay Crowder. His second. Well, what a pass as he needled this one.
Yeah, after a bad decision trying to feed Freeze that time, look at the diagonal right there. And I don't know, Crowder may have an argument right there. Looked like he got all ball from that angle. But nevertheless, good decision that time by Holloway. Instead of trying to force it, he created something with his drive. And Freeze with good hands.
And he gets a second. Xavier starting to come alive now, 20-17. Marquette is led by as many as 10. Xavier's never led, and the Golden Eagles turn it over. Dante Jackson.
But one of the guys bringing him back, Kenny Freeze, getting himself in position where he can score, and his teammates are working with him.
4:58 to play in the first half. 20-17 Marquette. .458 to play in the first half, 20-17 Marquette as we look at our game summary.
Yeah, Marquette stopped turning the ball over a little bit. They might be able to push this lead out, but Xavier's coming back even despite the poor shooting because they're starting to get the ball inside, starting to create some problems for Marquette along the front line.
And for Marquette, Holloway 0 for 4. Doesn't look like it concerns him though. He's patient. Inside Jackson. Jump hook. Saved and out of bounds. McLean can't keep it in bounds. And check out the Powerade Ion 4 point performance ranking system to get a peek into the science behind tournament success. See where your team's ranked at ncaa.com/Powerade.
And we talked about Marquette not having truly skilled or gifted big person, but they got some wide bodies in there. You see Gardner setting the high screen, now posting up. Freeze pushed him off the block, got him out of his comfort zone.
Gardner again, nice deal down. Gardner finding the cutter, Jay Crowder, who will go to the line.
That was strength to strength, muscle to muscle, as Gardner does a nice job on the cutting Jay Crowder, and Crowder uses that upper body strength to take the blow and deliver the goods.
Jay Crowder, Jr. from Villarica, Georgia. And I thought it was interesting because Devontae Gardner is a freshman, but they went to him on the box, he threw it out, and they went right back to him. That means the guards trust him.
Yeah, I mean, he reset, and they recognize what he's going to do with it. Something positive. You don't always have to shoot, and he found the cutting Crowder. And we talk about Jay Crowder, National Junior College Player of the Year last year, so he comes with a pretty nice resume in his first year here at Marquette.
Good battle going on between Gardner and Freeze inside. No. Taken down by Crowder. Darius Johnson Odom, the Butler, and he's clobbered, goes to the deck. 3:38 to play in the first half. Marquette with a 23-17 lead. On AT&T at the half. Gus Johnson, Lynn Elmore with you, 3:38 to play. First half, a 6 versus an 11. Xavier a 6 out of the Atlantic 10. Marquette an 11 out of the Big East Conference. And so far, it's been Marquette, the more aggressive team. Butler at the line once again. And Jimmy Butler gets it first. And look at this graphic. Lyons, McLean, and Holloway.
Well, Xavier's trying to stay in this game until those guys get on track. But the more that Marquette continues to move without it, slashing cutters into the middle, the more success they're going to have, and the potential of getting more Xavier guys in foul trouble is huge.
Jimmy Butler with 11 points in the first half. This jump shot way off the mark for Jeff Robinson.
Looks like they got to clean up at the top of the key there. As Butler hit the ground, it's all wet, and he was slipping and sliding. I hope the officials stop action and get that cleaned up before somebody else gets hurt getting down on the other end.
And you wonder why Jeff Robinson would take a three. He's 3 for 15 on the season, 20%.
Yeah, that's always puzzled me. Why guys who can't shoot continue to shoot it.
Coach, I'm open.
Oh, boy.
For a reason. DJO. And the rebound to McLean.
And as I said, hopefully that slippery spot doesn't victimize anyone.
Freeze dribbles out of the double team. Almost a travel, and a travel.
Well, Jay Crowder, we told you, National JUCO Player of the Year last year. First year with Marquette. He plays a lot bigger than his 6'6" frame and does a nice job of moving without it. His teammates are finding him. If he starts to get hot, that's one more consistent offensive weapon for Marquette. You know, he's sitting down gathering it in right now, but he's been pretty effective. 5.3 rebounds thus far in this game. Butler.
Let's see if Holloway can finally get something going. And a foul.
Yeah, McLean's upset. He feels he should have finished that and probably should have. But much better offensive sequences for Xavier as they got some movement.
So McLean. And get coverage of the Division I Women's Basketball Tournament at ncaa.com/Final Four.
And maybe what Jamel McLean needed. His teammates start looking for him more and get him on track. Holloway with a little help from his friends was doing a nice job on Darius Johnson-Odom until he lost it.
3 points now for Darius Johnson-Odom.
And he's such a smooth offensive player. Like I said, athletic, great deal of creativity off the bounce.
Freeze knocked away, picked up Taylor, and bangs it in. He has 6. 28-20. Freeze and Taylor trying to help this Xavier team stay in the game. Freeze has 8, Taylor with 6. Holloway scoreless. Last time he was scoreless in a first half was March 2nd against Charlotte. Bikes. Gardner rebound. Gets it again and banks it home.
When you can take up that kind of space and have good hands, all you need to do is get around the rim. And Devontae Gardner, nice job.
So with 36.5 to go, timeout called by Xavier. 10-point lead, matching the largest of the game for Marquette.
A guy nobody really expected to come back, but he's made the recovery. Duke is more than happy to insert him in the lineup with the hope that he can return to midseason form, or at least first 8-game form, as he might have been the best guard in the country in those first 8 games he's ever played as a collegiate.
Duke needs 6 games to win the national championship. These could be the last 6 of Kyrie's career.
I mean, if you really step back and look at it, it's most probable.
Ball knocked away again. Here comes Darius Johnson-Odom, and 1.
If I'm Chris Mack, I'm starting to really get perturbed. First of all, lackadaisical pass. And then here on the drive and the foul. I mean, sometimes you just let that foul go. A guy's got to step on you, let it go, inbound the ball, and push it the other way. The flip side of it is if you're going to foul him, don't let him get it up to the rim.
Largest lead of the game now for Marquette, 33-20. Prior to this game, 19 points was the lowest first half for Xavier this season. And in the first round of the NCAA tournament, Xavier ends the first half with 20, 33-20. The last time Xavier had this low of a point total against Miami of Ohio on December 1st. They eventually lost the game 75-64 when they scored 19 in the first half. 33-20 our score now. Let's join Marty.
All right, Gus. Well, Buzz, are you surprised you're able to keep the game that low scoring?
Well, they're so good off ball screens. We've done a good job guarding the ball screens. They've hurt us on the offensive glass. They had too many unforced errors for us. But I thought we finished the half pretty well.
What have you done on Holloway? 0 for 5 in the game so far.
Well, we just changed up who's guarding him, try to give him a different look. We've changed how we've guarded ball screens. Just try to keep him out of rhythm. He's really, really good.
You got to get your voice back for the second half.
I don't know what to do.
All right, that's Buzz Williams. Gus.
All right, thank you very much. 33-20, the halftime score. We'll send you to AT&T at the half after these messages. You're watching the NCAA Men's Basketball Championship. (33-20) Marquette with the lead at halftime. Gus Johnson along with Len Elmore. You got to give this Marquette team a lot of credit. They did play their game in the first half.
Yeah, they certainly did, particularly on the defensive end. Once Mark Lyons went on the bench with 2 fouls, they really got Xavier to scramble, and Holloway is trying to handle both responsibilities, be a playmaker as well as a scorer, and it hasn't worked for him as he's got 0 points.
All right, let's take a look at the statistics from the first half.
Yeah, take a look at Xavier. Can't do anything from beyond the arc. Haven't been shooting the ball well at all. And when you look at Jimmy Butler from Marquette, the one thing that Xavier has to do is keep him off the free throw line. 5 of 6 off the line. And more importantly, again, Kenny Freese is one of those guys who has kept Xavier in this ball game. He's got to get more touches, if nothing else, to force Marquette to adjust. And then Xavier can find some other ways to score.
So Butler, Darius Johnson-Odom, Otule, Williams, and Bikes on the floor for Marquette to start the second half. Otule, drop step, has it blocked by Freese. Nice job. And Freese, look at him, get up the floor, call for the ball. Holloway jumper. And the rebound to Williams.
There you can see that was a frustration shot by Holloway. It wasn't a bad shot. But when you're down 13 and you start the half, you want to make sure that you get a really good look at the basket, get a high percentage shot if you can.
Williams banks it in and draws the foul.
Xavier having all sorts of problems with slashers and cutters. No help on the drive by Williams right there, and just a nice job of execution by Marquette. You know, Chris Mack talked to his guys at halftime. We heard him. He said, we didn't panic. No, you don't panic at this point in time, but you got to play with a sense of urgency. There's 19 minutes and 10 seconds left in their season.
Largest lead of the game now for Marquette. And this is Lyons, this one rimming off. Jimmy Butler there with the rebound, his second.
Hard to understand. Kenny Freese has 11 points, 3 or 4 from the field, and he hasn't gotten a touch yet.
Sometimes those guards, Len, don't make it a priority to let the big guys touch it.
Sorry, Freese has 8 points, 3 or 4 from the field, but he's the leading scorer.
Johnson-Odom, rebounded by McLean. His 8th rebound. Holloway, diagonal pass. Dante Jackson. Count it. That's what Xavier needs. Holloway doing a nice job finding the shooter. 36-23. Jackson with 5. Now on CBS right now, LIU trying to hang with North Carolina. 80-67. 16 has never beaten a one. Inside bike strip. Keeps it. 6 to shoot. Crosses over. Loose ball snatched down by Williams, but he couldn't hold on, out of bounds. Let's join Marty Snyder.
Talked to Chris Mack a moment ago, and he said Mark Lyons absolutely is our key. Lynn mentioned that. He said we need him for more than 5 minutes. He also pulled him to the side. He said two of your 3 fouls have been charges. That doesn't mean I don't want you to be aggressive, but I've got to have you on the floor if we're going to win this game.
Oh, there's no question about it. Again, he's the guy that gets people in a position where they can succeed and allow Holloway to do his thing, which is score.
Freeze foul.
And that's why you go to the big fella down low. I'm not sure Otule is the answer for Kenny Freeze right now.
Otule picking up another foul, his 3rd. So let's see what Buzz Williams decides to do with his big man if he's going to allow him to stay in the game with 3.
And if he does stay in the game, very next trip down the floor, Freeze is going to touch it.
Freeze. First free throw goes. Solid free throw shooter for a big man, 68%.
That's today. Back in the day, 70, 75 was more the regular, unless you're a Wilt.
Freeze, junior. Honorable mention, all Atlantic 10. Both free throws good. He has 10 points. Averages 12 per game on the season. McLean heads to the bench. Andrew Taylor, who had a good first half, comes in. 6 points for Taylor. He averages 2 a game. Crowder lobs it to Gardner in the game now. That's a good matchup. Gardner and Freeze kicked by Holloway to make that Lions.
Yeah, a lot of size in there. We're not talking about just height, but girth as well. And those guys are banging and battling for block supremacy.
BJO. 5 to shoot. Bike splits it. Fires. And that's a great play.
Yeah, but defensively, you can't allow guys to split your double team. You got to have your feet together, foot to foot. That keeps them from trying to do that.
And a traveling violation called on Holloway.
There's actually a palming right now as he tried to change directions. Official right on top of it. It's been a frustrating day for Holloway, but there's no denying how good a player he is. Atlantic 10 Player of the Year, also a member of the All-Defensive Team. But tonight, he's less than an average guy.
And Holloway now called for a foul on Darius Johnson-Odom, and he has struggled.
He certainly has, and he's gotten some decent looks that just haven't gone, and others he's driven into trouble. The open looks, they're not falling. What he's got to do is find a way to get some high percentage shots, get out on the fast break, get some layups.
Jackson missed the layup. Man.
That's when your anxiety level starts to rise, when you start missing easy ones like that. You start to get even more anxious. But going back to Holloway, you remedy your poor shooting because he's an excellent shooter by getting higher percentage shots. He's got to get out on a fast break, find ways to get layups. And then when you're not 0 for anymore, you have a better opportunity, a better feel, and more confidence when you finally take the jumper.
And a traveling violation on Devontae Gardner. Their 11th turnover, 15:53 to play second half. 38-25, Marquette.
To 74 as we get you back to Cleveland.
All right, Ernie Johnson, the point man with Greg Gumbel in New York. And, you know, sometimes you need a point guard. Roy Williams got his point guard in Kendall Marshall, and everything started to turn around. Now Harrison Barnes starting to develop into the player they thought he would be. Nice play here, Andrew Taylor. He has 8 points.
Andrew Taylor has been a huge lift for Xavier. keeping them within striking distance. Both he and Kenny Freeze have given Xavier a huge lift from scoring output.
Johnson Odom. Timely shooting for Marquette.
An even better ball movement right there.
9 points for Darius Johnson Odom. Baseline, McLean. And he rattles in a 7-footer. 41-29. McLean with 4 points and 9 rebounds.
That was his first field goal.
Baseline, Crowder again. 3-point possibility for Marquette.
Well, we talked about Marquette and their constant movement, constant penetration. Jimmy Butler that time, nice delivery. He's been a thorn in the side of the Musketeers all evening. Not only putting the ball in the basket, but also moving the ball and finding people.
So McLean called for the foul, his third. Crowder at the line. And he adds a free throw. 44-29. Golden Eagles look terrific. Johnson Odom really giving Holloway a hard time bringing the ball up the floor. His second, and the three principals that are struggling tonight for Xavier.
Yeah, you look at these are 3 of the top 4 scorers for Xavier. All of them are averaging double figures, but today Marquette's thrown a blanket on them, and it all began with Mark Lyons' untimely foul trouble, and that really kind of threw Xavier's offense out of whack.
Mark Lyons leaving his feet again. He's got to be careful not to pick up his 4th. 2 of his 3 fouls coming on charges. Holloway still hasn't scored, draws a double team, and he's bumped. For instant analysis and highlights of every tournament game, log on to SI.com.
Yeah, you saw the attention to Holloway draws, and it's every time he turns his back, that's when the double team comes. So he's got to work on, in this game, being able to face the defense while trying to make a play instead of turning his back, because then they're going to take the ball out of his hands.
Lyons 3. Lyons with only 2 points in this game. He averages 14 a clip.
Yeah, only Kenny Freeze is playing up to his season average. Everybody else has been held down by a very stout Marquette defense.
Crowder slipped out of his hands. Loose, picked up. Johnson Odom, he'll take a 3. And hit. Wow, backbreaker. Back-breaking jump shot. Timely scoring for Marquette. And Xavier befuddled. 47-29. Golden Eagles. Marquette playing an incredible game. 47-29 as we take a look at our game summary.
Well, obviously Marquette beating Xavier just about every key element of this basketball game. And when you add to that they're shutting down 3 of their Xavier top scorers, just tells you there's desperation time getting close. And Chris Mack called that last timeout to try to minimize the psychological damage. Xavier thought they had the turnover, it was taken away, and Darius Johnson Odom turned it into 3 points.
Inside Freeze, nice look. Andrew Taylor from the big man. Taylor with 10 points.
And I'll tell you what, Xavier, the guards for Xavier and the scorers that we just spoke of that aren't playing up to their potential, they got to leave their pride behind and recognize what's going to win this ball game. And right now it's Kenny Freeze and Andrew Taylor that are getting it done, playing 2-man basketball. They need to get touches because Marquette's going to respect them. And when they do that, then maybe it opens it up for the Lions and the 2 Holloways and the Dante Jacksons.
Well, Tule called for his 4th foul. He checks out of the game. Devontae Gardner replaces him. Mark Lyons brings it up the floor. 2 points on 1 of 3 shooting for Lions. No-look pass, once again on the baseline, and it goes down. Andrew Taylor having a nice game, 12 points.
I think the Musketeers are getting a message.
Marty was in the last Xavier huddle. Let's check in with him.
And that message was, don't quit on me now. That's what Coach said. He said, you can't let down right now. We can still win this game. Not on the break, Gus.
Jackson drives, kicks. Holloway, finally a good look. And pure. Great look. Nice pass from Dante Jackson.
And that's exactly why that last timeout was so important, to minimize the psychological damage, to try to give them a mental boost.
And now, Marquette wants a timeout. Buzz Williams, nice timeout.
Yeah, no question about it. He wants to minimize some damage.
7-0 Xavier run. A look at the East region. Xavier Marquette, the winner of this game, takes on the winner of our next game here on True TV. Syracuse and Indiana State. Washington, Georgia, North Carolina, LIU, and Charlotte, the other half of the bracket.
Well, we were talking during the timeout, and you're right. Terrific timeout by Buzz Williams. While they still have a double-digit lead, kind of minimize the crowd's involvement in this thing and get his guys back focused on maintaining and building on the lead that they have.
Jimmy Butler elevates and hits. Nice set out of the timeout.
Yeah, and you go to your team leader, Jimmy Butler, a guy that has done an awful lot in his 3 years at Marquette, but more than anything else, he's been a model of leadership, and plays like that certainly emphasize it.
He has 13. Lions have been very dangerous with the ball. Holloway looking for Freeze. Now Freeze stops, fires, rims off, no call. Gardner flopping on that play.
Too big to flop.
DJO penetrates, taken away out of the air. Taylor. Here comes Holloway. No, make that Jackson. Oh, somehow he managed to squeeze that in.
He did it the hard way.
7 points for Dante. A lot of time left in this game, Len.
Oh, there's no question about it. And what Xavier has to do is dig in now and start stringing together some stops.
Ball kicked out of bounds. 10:37 to play, second half, 49-38.
Midway through the second half here in Cleveland, Marquette up by 11. I asked Buzz Williams yesterday one word to describe your team, and he came up with the word pugnacity. I've never heard of that word before, and he had to tell me it's a willingness to fight. Now, Gus, I don't know about you. I had to seek for the definition, but the man sitting to your right knew the definition and the origin of the word. Mr. Elmore, the attorney, always coming through. Pugnacity, Gus. Go for that one.
Well, you know.
That's the English major, man. That's how did I get through school?
That's right. Lenny would know.
Keep a thesaurus in the back of my pocket, right?
Gardner rattled it home. Every time Marquette needs a basket, they manage to come up with it, or is it that Xavier just can't come up with stops?
I think it's a combination of both. Out of the timeout, you know, Buzz Williams and staff had assessed, you know, what works and what doesn't, and in this situation, they went after what they thought was going to work, which is what you need to do after a timeout.
To Holloway, 3 points in this game, averages 20, scoreless in the first half. And the Golden Eagles have been all over him. Lions, tough shot, Freeze, power dribble, big fella.
Big fella having a big game, and almost single-handedly with a little help from Andrew Taylor, keeping his team in the ball game.
Freeze with 12 points, right at his average. 9:38 to play in the second half. Bikes with it now. I like this kid, Len. Bikes is a nice player.
Yeah, another junior college transfer. Buzz Williams, pretty lucky. He, last couple of years, been raiding the junior colleges and coming up with some gems. Jimmy Butler, Jay Crowder, Darius Johnson-Odom, Dwight Bikes.
Jackson, and he's fouled. Nice pass by Holloway. Now everything is for sale and nothing is off limits on True TV's #1 hit show, Hardcore Pawn. You won't believe what's in store every Tuesday at 9 p.m. Eastern on True TV.
We can all appreciate your enunciation, brother. I know that was hard.
I've been practicing that all day. I didn't want to blow that one. So Jackson gets the first. And some subs come in. McLean, Freeze will take a blow. And he deserves one. Also, coming in the game, Jeff Robinson.
I expect to see some kind of pressure scheme from Xavier. If they can get it under double digits, you know, again, there's a little bit of a psychological advantage in doing that. And I think Chris Mack, if his guys were to pick up and pressure a little bit, get a little more energy, but nope, stays at 10 points.
Junior Cadogan in at point now. For Marquette with the ball in his hand, starts on the wing, drives baseline, and steps on the baseline out of bounds. Out of control, Cadogan. And that is turnover number 13 for Marquette. Xavier with the chance to get it inside 10. Lions driving. Oh, tipped up and in. That's what you want from Jeff Robinson.
That's what you want from your big men, period, if you're Xavier. You get your guards driving weak side, you've got to be able to crash.
Butler picks up his dribble. And a 3-second violation.
I'll tell you what here, Mark Lyons playing aggressively despite the offensive problems he's had in the foul trouble. And Robinson on the follow. Weak side help comes. That weak side glass is wide open, and you got to take advantage. And speaking of taking advantage, Marquette now, maybe for the first time in this game, seems to be in a bit of disarray. And Xavier's starting to find the range and the opportunity. Another split.
Holloway, offensive foul.
Again. Take a look at the drive right here. Yep. Defenders set. Close call, bang, bang. That's the toughest call an official can make in basketball.
And for two Holloway, Lenny, does he have to realize that at this time his offense isn't going, but maybe if he focuses more using that quickness to create for other people?
No question. But let the play come to you. You utilize your quickness and see what develops. Don't make up your mind as to what you're going to do.
Johnson Odom, and once again a timely bucket. He has 4 threes in this game. And a foul on the baseline. 7:46 to play, second half, 54-43, Marquette. (54-43) our score. Marquette and Xavier. Marquette an 11, Xavier a 6 in the game summary.
Yeah, you take a look once again. Marquette shooting lights out, particularly from beyond the arc. It's the 14 turnovers, though, that's given Xavier 16 points. If Marquette cuts down on the turnovers, you know, this game may be out of reach for Xavier.
And Darius Johnson-Odom picked up his 3rd foul. He stays in the game. Marty was in the huddle. What'd you hear?
Chris Mack very poignant with his guys, Gus. He said, whatever level you're playing at, I want you to go 1 or 2 notches higher. He said, quote, I want you to be absolutely nasty on defense. If you don't, we got about 7 minutes left in our season.
Well, he certainly didn't want him to be tentative on offense, which happened right there as Freeze and Lions kind of miscommunicated on a backdoor opportunity. You can't afford those down the stretch when you're trying to cut into an 11-point lead.
North Carolina did beat LIU 102-87. UNLV and Illinois playing right now.
Well, Metro New York has officially left the tournament.
That's right.
St. John's yesterday, LIU and St. Peter's today.
Great year, though, for both teams. Gardner and DJO short, contested nicely by 2 Holloway. 54-43. And a foul will be called on Gardner. And that will be team foul number 7 with 7:03 to play here in the second half. And that will send McLean to the line to shoot 1-1. So Xavier now in the 1-1 bonus. 4 team fouls against the Musketeers. And McLean missing the front end of the 1-1. Xavier as a team, a 75% free throw shooting squad. Cadogan creating. Crowder underneath. And he's pushed and fouled.
Well, the reason Marquette has his double-digit lead is in large part due to the play of Darius Johnson-Odom, who's been spectacular from beyond the arc. And being a lefty with his shake and bake ability, and now the ability to knock down threes, he's so hard to guard. And let me emphasize with left-handers, that's a tough assignment. You're not accustomed to playing guys like that, and he can pull up with that athleticism.
Inside, Butler changed his shot, gets his own miss, and he's fouled. Andrew Taylor fouling. And now Marquette will throw it in bounds. 5 team fouls against the Musketeers. Actually make that 6. Butler. DJO, step back lefty. Off the heel. Crowder with the rebound and a new shot clock for Marquette.
And you talk about boiling frustration. You play excellent defense for almost a full of the clock. Only allow them to get it back as the ball bounces on the ground, and then Darius Johnson-Odom puts the hurt on him.
Cadogan with that basket.
Oh, Cadogan here.
Now Jackson. And it's taken away by Butler. 56-43.
That's even worse because Junior Cadogan not known for his offense.
Crowder. Man, they are playing. Marquette.
They're bringing it home right now. This is what you call feeling it. Killer instinct. Golden Eagles are feeling it.
If you would like to make a donation to help in the ongoing relief effort for the disaster in Japan, log on to CNN.com/impact. 5:29 to play in the second half, 58-43. Marquette. And what a game this squad has put together. Timely baskets. They've gotten the most loose balls. On a 7-0 run right now.
And let's face it, they played outstanding defense, particularly against Tu Holloway. They've done a terrific job on the high screens, which is the bulk of the Xavier offense.
Holloway, 1 of 7 from the field, 3 points.
And then compound the matter, Mark Lyons gets in foul trouble. Jamel McLean can't really buy a basket. And as good as they've played, Andrew Taylor and Kenny Freese, you're not going to win with them being your high scorer.
Inside, Andrew Taylor. That time with the left hand. Butler across the lane, stripped out of bounds. All hustle right now for Andrew Taylor. Really like the way he's been playing, the senior from Toledo.
Yeah, that's the question of senior urgency, which you have to respect and you have to enjoy. There's one thing he can say: if this is the last game he'll ever play as a collegian, which if they lose it will be, he'll have no regrets about his effort. You know, some guys can say coulda, shoulda, woulda 20 years from now. But these are the kinds of games you want to remember. You gave it your all and your best.
And that ball hits the baseline on a bounce pass before it goes in bounds, so it's a turnover. Take another look.
Yeah, it actually hit the seed for Cleveland.
15 turnovers for the Golden Eagles. 4:50 to go. Lions the kick. Holloway a three. Out of bounds. To Holloway, no rhythm. One for 8 from the field. 3 points. And a push coming up against Crowder on Andrew Taylor. And Taylor will go to the line and shoot 1 and 1. So Gardner comes back in. O'Toole takes a seat. Eight team fouls now against Marquette. Andrew Taylor, 15 points. Here's a man that averages 2 a game. Senior.
But you got to commend him on his readiness. Averaging 2 a game and probably goes in and plays his role. Today his role is to help put the ball in the basket since few others could.
All right, let's see if Xavier can dig in. They need stops. Marquette has been patient on offense.
And they've also defensively held Xavier at bay. They haven't been able to get over that 11-point hump and get it into single digits.
Inside Bikes. Rims off with a foul. And don't forget, the winner of this game will take on the winner of our next game. It's Syracuse and Indiana State, the Sycamore. Out of the Missouri Valley against Syracuse out of the Big East. Marquette and Syracuse are in the same conference. They have met this season, with the Golden Eagles coming up with a 76-70 win at home.
There's wins like that that help build a resume for Marquette, because they kind of resided on the bubble for as long as the bubble was in existence this year, until down the stretch.
And the second free throw short. 4:16 to go, 59-47.
Again, you see the defense right there, how they forced Holloway way outside, back to half court, just by hedging on that high screen.
Jackson, rebounded by Taylor. Lions, ball tipped up and in. As Dante Jackson gets the tip in, 10-point game. A lot of time left. Bikes driving, the runner. Rebounded. Dante Jackson.
And here's an opportunity, maybe the last one that Xavier might get to get it under double digits. And what do? Toss it away.
3:35 to play second half. Back after this. Championship on that team with Darren Williams and Dee Brown, James Augustine, losing to North Carolina in the national championship game. Meanwhile here, 3:35 to go, 59-49 Marquette with the basketball. And when the score was 51-43, Marquette responded with a 7-0 run. Xavier on a 6-1 run right now.
And that's why I say it's maybe their last chance to get it under double digits.
Cadogan and a reaching foul. And that'll be number 7 against Xavier, Dante Jackson. As he picks up his third. And that will allow the Golden Eagles to shoot 1 and 1 Junior Cadogan, a 61% free throw shooter, goes to the line.
For Marquette, number 42, Chris O'Play.
Still a lot of time left in this game.
But it's reminiscent of the game of baseball, where they tell you only have so many opportunities to get to a pitcher who's rolling. And so when you do, you got to take advantage of it. And it's the same thing here. You got a team that's running pretty much optimally. Yeah, they'll have a couple of letdowns in Marquette, turn the ball over consecutive times, and Xavier's got to seize. They got to pounce on those opportunities because they're not going to get many. Because for the most part, Marquette has played Xavier flawlessly.
Holloway and a foul. Holloway will go to the line now.
And by flawlessly, I mean Marquette has taken their best players out of the game. One in foul trouble in Lyons. The other can't make a shot. He's been hounded double teams all over the place.
So Chris O'Toole has fouled out of this game. As we take a look at today's shining moments.
Well, William Buford was just outstanding. I mean, you talked about it again. Near perfect in that game against Texas San Antonio. Kyrie Irving gets a chance to play. And the guy who, for the first 8 games of the season, was the best guard in America. And Derek Williams from Arizona, another one of those outstanding players that you never really heard of because he's playing at Arizona, but he was just dominant.
So I got a text from my good friend Jimmy Jackson, the All-America player at Ohio State. After I said that William Buford was the second greatest player in the city of Toledo history, he got texts from a bunch of old school Toledo guys before there was a Mr. Basketball in the state saying that I was wrong.
That Buford is the best in Toledo history?
No, he's not the second best.
Oh, okay.
There are players that are better than him.
Hey, that must be a Toledo thing. Who else we're talking about?
60-51, Marquette. Now the Musketeers will set up their full court pressure. Butler running. Now Jimmy will bring the ball up the floor. Picks up his dribble. Cadogan pulls it back. 3 minutes to go.
And you got 3 guards out there from Marquette, but who do they rely on to bring the ball up? Their leader, Jimmy Butler, who's probably prone to make the best decisions. And also, it's the toughest matchup for Xavier.
Crowder inside. DJO. Wow. Darius Johnson-Odom has hit back-breaking baskets in this game. 17 now. Holloway shuffles it out. Lyons on the hop, left hand, no, a brick. Butler. And he'll get it back to Crowder, who quickly finds Cadogan.
Talk about making good decisions. No rush, no panic by Jimmy Butler in the face of that pressure. And I guess Xavier's, the Musketeers, are wondering, when's D'Artagnan coming? Because it's almost too late for them.
And a foul with 2:02 to go. And now the Coke Zero impressive moment.
Well, that impressive moment was when Xavier thought they had a turnover, about to go the other way, but Darius Johnson-Odom turns the tables on him, gets the turnover himself, and comes down and knocks down a 3, which is pretty much, as you said, a spine cracker or a backbreaker. And by the way, just so you know, historically, D'Artagnan was not a Musketeer.
He wasn't?
No, he was a helper. He was the best of them, but he was the helper.
62-51. Marquette gets the offensive rebound on the missed free throw and calls a timeout. 1:56 to play. Golden Eagles ready to go to the next round. Welcome back to Cleveland as we look at the game reset. 62-51. Marquette a minute and 56 seconds away from advancing to the second round. Jimmy Butler, nice game. 13 points, 5 rebounds.
And to that 4 assists. Excellent all-around game. Again, another example of senior urgency. He doesn't want this to be his last game.
Marquette as a team shooting 55% from the field, 45% from the three-point line, and a foul, which will send Darius Johnson-Odom to the free throw line once again. He's a tough player right here. Tough player, Darius Johnson-Odom from Raleigh, North Carolina. 6'2", 215.
Solid 215.
Solid. And he has been killing them today. 18 points for DJO. 6 of 11 from the field. 4 of 6 from the three-point line. And he adds another.
Marquette not relenting on pressure right now. They're not going to make it easy for Xavier, even with this lead.
And a steal. Butler. Marquette. It will be their day. 66-51. Another turnover. And now Darius Johnson-Odom leads them into the front court. Looks like the Musketeers are going to back away with 1:08 to go.
And again, going back to game plan, you know, Buzz Williams told us they got to get to Holloway. They got to prevent putbacks on the offensive glass. They've got to play the high screen and roll very well. And I'll tell you, you can check those off for Buzz Williams because his team executed to perfection.
Bikes. And that one goes out of bounds. So we will advance Marquette in the bracket. The Golden Eagles will face the winner of our next game, Syracuse, Indiana State. To Holloway.
Nice sportsmanship gesture there by Jay Crowder to come over and extend the hand.
And Lyons lays it in. Griffin McKenzie is checked in. He's a freshman from Cincinnati for Xavier. 4-second differential between the game and the shot clock. What was the key for this Marquette team tonight?
Oh, again, they cut down on transition points. They got to Holloway. It helped that Mark Lyons went down early in foul trouble, and that kind of discombobulated the Xavier offensive attack. And they played the high screen so well. They forced Holloway to back up. They forced him to go lateral, never really allowed him to get any steam towards the basket, create anything. Yes, they gave up some points to Kenny Freeze, to Andrew Taylor, but as I mentioned, those guys played outstandingly. But Xavier's not going to win if they're going to be your leading scorer.
And that one goes down with 1.5 seconds remaining. Syracuse, Indiana State. Our final game of the night coming up next.